advent of a previous patch, I really saw that the Templar's damage that he deals took a little bit of a knock. So I started to look at the other classes, and I realized that the Warden is really quite a fun class to play. So we will play the rest of the review with this guy, and this is, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, the most powerful character that I have. Even though the Warlock was clearly like fucking powerful, but I really think that this guy is even more powerful, even though sometimes I do die with this guy, since he has the least amount of HP. He only has 11,000 HP, whereas the Templar has 14,000 HP and basically never died, but he has like shields and shit like that. And the Warlock had like, I think, 18,000 HP and also basically never died, and the Berserker had something like 26,000 HP, but he was really quite squishy. But I created my Hunter in a way, or at least the Warden, in a way where the more damage that I deal, the more healing I receive. So it's really quite a good balance. I deal a lot of damage, but I also receive a lot of healing from the damage that I deal. So basically you can see here, the same as with all of the classes. All of the classes, of course, have 4 talent trees. This one has the Wind Ranger, which is basically a physical centralized spec. Then it has the Druid spec, which deals a lot with summoning minions and also dealing poison damage. Then there's also the Stormcaller specialization, which deals a lot with lightning damage, and also the the Winter Herald specialization, which deals a lot with frost damage. So this class is basically the only class where I went into 3 specializations. With all of the other classes, I only went into 2 specializations, basically like 50 points into the one specialization and 50 points into the other specialization. But with this one, I found it most powerful to go equal parts into 3 specializations. 30 into this one, 35 into this one, and 35 into this one, basically. And I did that so that I can summon 3 different kinds of pets. I basically summon spiderlings with this specialization. Then I summon sparkies, which are these flying little wispy fairy guys that you see flying around here. And I also summon wolves with this specialization. And basically I deal a little bit of frost damage and a little bit of lightning damage, but I deal a large amount of poison damage. And you can see that reflected in the specialization here. I deal 210% of my damage, which is the damage that you can see over there in poison damage, and then 163% lightning damage of my damage I deal, and then 160% of my frost damage I deal also. And my pets deal a percentage of this damage. So the spiders that you see walking around deal 25% of my poison damage. So it deals 25% of 240% of 9,300. So if you want to work that out really quickly, 25% of this amount, which is around about 20,000, will come down to around about 5,000. So my spiderlings that you see walking around here deal basically 5,000 damage per hit. So that basically gives you an idea of how the guys work that you summon around here. So basically my specialization works with dealing a lot of damage and receiving a lot of healing from the bloom. The bloom basically heals me for the amount of pods that I have on my enemies, and pods are something that grows on my enemies when I deal damage to them. It's like a fungus, you could almost say. It's like a plague, and the more that plague or that fungus spreads on my opponents, the more damage I deal and the more I am healed. So even though I only have 11,000 HP, which is really quite little, I am still getting healed for a shitload because I'm dealing quite a large amount of damage. And as you can see at the top right, I'm still on the most difficult difficulty. I actually quickly want to show you guys the differences between the different difficulties. We select that one and then we go to difficulty. So basically at the beginning you start out on casual, and there is like enemies will be weaker than you, and champion and elite enemies will appear less frequently. And then when you go up to normal, it's a little bit more difficult, and veteran, at veteran you start to see bonuses to the amount of experience that you gain, and the amount of money that you gain, and the amount of magic find that you have. But you receive a reduction in your resistances, so you receive more rewards but you are weaker, and then it just becomes more difficult on heroic. And on legendary you have minus 25% to all resistances, but you have 200% more magic find, 100% more money find, and 60% increased experience gain. And the legendary difficulty is also the only difficulty where you can find true legendary items. Now, true legendary items are basically legendary items, but they are just a little bit more powerful. So if we look at my items quickly, you can see I have a legendary item there, and a legendary item there, and a unique item there, and a true legendary item there. So I currently only have 3 true legendary items, which is that one, and that one. But for all intents and purposes, they are the same as a legendary item. They only have a little bit more stats. Their stats are just a little bit higher than a legendary item. But true legendaries can only drop on the legendary difficulty, and they can only drop when you are level 100. So yeah, that's basically all that I want to show you guys about like the stats and the talent trees and all of that. Oh, by the way, when you reach level 100, you can still gain levels which are called mastery levels. Now, the mastery levels are basically like paragon levels in Diablo 3. If you have played Diablo 3, then you will know exactly what paragon levels are. It's basically levels which continue to grow your character's strength, but they aren't as impactful as the normal levels. So they're not as impactful as having an extra skill point. They are basically lesser skill points, which you can only spend on this skills, on these skills over here. Once you gain 1 mastery point, you cannot go and spend it on these normal talent trees. You can only spend it here. So the amount of skill points which you have spent here already, you cannot change. That is why I say it is so important on the way that you build your character. So the mastery skill points, which we will gain throughout the course of this video still, I will be spending on these skills over here. And basically they do a myriad of different things. They might increase your damage, increase your health, increase your reach, which is the range that your skills go. They can also increase your resistance to elements. They can increase your potion effectiveness. Basically a whole bunch of different stuff like or companion damage, critical strike damage, critical strike chance, evasion chance, effect duration, just basically a shitload of stuff. Anything in the game that you can basically change skills wise, like any of these skills here, you can basically increase and specialize in on the mastery skills thing. So basically currently I am level 100 with 85 mastery skills. So with that being said, let's go and do some quests.
What a shame to have made it so far, only to be trampled to death.
So this guy that we are about to fight is a boss. I will explain a little bit more about the boss once we get back to the teleporter. So that boss was really quite easy, but that is honestly the easiest part of the game, with this character at least. This character deals extremely easily and extremely well with bosses, simply because of one little skill. And if we look at my set bonus here, the set bonus says pods can now stack up to 10 times. And that's a really important set bonus, which I have, because if you look at pods, what exactly pods do, this is pods. Now pods are basically the plague that I spoke about. It's like a plague that gets attached to any enemies that you attack. And normally this will only deal 18,000 damage per second for 4 seconds, which isn't so overpowered. It's powerful, but it's not so overpowered. I mean, my warlock dealt like 120,000 damage per hit, so 17,000 damage per second really isn't all that much. But thanks to the set bonus which I get from my legendaries, the pods can stack up to 10 times. So with that boss, you will see at the top left of his health bar there will be a number, and it will count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way up to 10. And once it is at 10, you will know that the pods are stacked till 10, and that means that the boss takes 170,000 damage per second, and that's really quite a shitload, and it's all thanks to my set bonus which I have. In fact, the fourth set bonus I didn't even go for, since the pods will then burst. That fourth set bonus increases the chance that the pods have to burst, and the pods bursting isn't good, since you will then lose a stack of the pods. So I on purpose don't have the fourth set bonus equipped, so that I can deal very efficiently with bosses. It would be good if the pods burst, because or at least it will be good against mobs. If there's like a whole bunch of mobs, then if the pods burst, then it deals a whole bunch of damage to the area, but it's not good against bosses. So I built my character more to be more powerful against bosses instead of against the normal enemies that we get on purpose, because the bosses are normally the most powerful guys in the game, but thanks to my build they are actually really quite easy, and it is the enemies that we encounter normally, like the normal mobs, that are actually more powerful now with the spec than the bosses. So the bosses are quite easy to kill, to be honest. So these guys give you quests, and this is like a quest hub, but it's really just a small little place. The quest hubs in this game is really quite small. So currently only the bosses are voiced. Only the bosses have voice acting, but like I said at the very beginning, this is still early access, and there's obviously still quite a lot of stuff that will be added by the time that the game will actually be released. So maybe eventually these guys will also be voice acted, but currently only some of the bosses are voice acted or have voice lines. So we can also take a little bit of time to talk about the graphics of the game. The graphics of the game are pretty good for pixel graphics, basically 8-bit graphics. It really looks quite good. The only thing that I currently do not like is the look of the wolves. You can see the wolves are, to be honest, very small, and they're not at all pixelated. They're not as pixelated as the spiders or anything like that, for instance. So I really do think that the wolves are currently just like a placeholder animation kind of a pixel thing. I really do hope that the wolves get some different art eventually, but otherwise than that, the spiders look really quite cool. The little pixies look cool. I mean, the little humanoids are cool. It's really not too shabby. I really quite like games that have pixel graphics, especially if it's done well, if it isn't overdone, and certainly this game's pixel graphics looks pretty cool. It's not amazing, but it is certainly much more than sufficient, much more than what you would want. So I will now just play for another 15 minutes or so maybe, just so that you guys can get an idea of what the game is actually like when you play it without stopping every now and then for any explanations, since I have basically already explained everything that I want to explain. We will now just do a few quests, kill a few monsters, and you will see that it is really quite a busy game. The screen is really quite busy, and there's a shitload of stuff going on, and sometimes you can really lose track of your character and your HP. But I really doubt that we will die, since, like I said, this character is, in my opinion, my most powerful character. And yeah, we will just do a few quests, and I will stay quiet for a little while so that you guys can listen to all of the sound in the game. you will also see at the bottom left there's a counter which currently says 250. That is a kill streak counter, and if you do not kill something for I think 5 seconds, then it resets back to 0, but you then get a whole bunch of XP and gold. So it's very much like the kill counter in Diablo 3. So the highest that I've ever gotten it is 966. But it wasn't on this map. I don't know if this map actually even has close to 1,000 mobs, but basically you just have to keep killing things and keep hitting things, and then you can get that counter nice and high, and you will see when the counter eventually expires, when I stop killing things, that my XP bar, which is the yellow bar at the very bottom left, that XP bar jumps quite a bit. So if you are able to chain kill and maintain a kill streak on this difficulty, then you get rewarded with quite a big amount of XP. By the way, if there is one single thing in this entire game that I have a problem with, then it will be the map. The map is really, I think, it could be done better. I'm not exactly certain how to do it better, but I just know that it can be done better. I know that the developer probably went for the same thing as what it was in Diablo 2, which honestly in Diablo 2 I didn't have a problem with the map at all. The map in Diablo 2 really was quite good. You could see the map while also seeing what was going on the screen. But for some reason, even though this map the type of map is basically exactly the same thing as in Diablo 2, for some reason I really don't like the map. I really can't see what is going on the screen while the map is open. Like, I can see here at the top and everything, but at the bottom right it's really quite difficult to see exactly what is going on. You just basically have to guess what is going on when the map is over your screen. Now, you can put off the map by pressing M, but I really like playing with the map on, and you should be able to play with the map on while you're fighting enemies, and you should be able to look at the map and look on your screen at the enemies while simultaneously. At least you should be able to do all of that stuff simultaneously, because that's how you were able to do it in Diablo 2. So I don't know exactly what must be changed regarding the map. Perhaps the map should be made a darker color or something like that. I'm really not too certain, but I just really think that something should be done to change it. But that's really, to be honest, my only quote-unquote problem with the game. I really don't have any other issues with the game. By the way, there are puzzles like this. This is one type of puzzle. You do get some other puzzles also. This is one type of puzzle which you will encounter in the game every now and then. And if you solve the puzzle, then you get a chest. So basically this puzzle is extremely easy. It's just a reaction time puzzle. You just have to click on the thing that is red, and once you reach 10 you will then get a chest which contains a whole bunch of nice loot. And by the way, if you are wondering why I never pick up any loot, it's basically because I already have quote-unquote the best items in the game. Simply because I have been playing the game for quite a while, as I said before, and there's really not much that I can get that will be better than the gear that I currently have. As I said, I created my setup here as I have it to be extremely powerful against bosses, thanks to that set bonus there. So at the very least I won't be able to replace this item, or this item, since all three of those are part of a set. But I've also tailored the rest of my equipment to be very good together also, because I have got stuff like this one, for instance, which increases my base damage by 8% for every non-set item. So except for this, and this item, I have made all of my other items non-set items in order to get a very large damage boost. For instance, you can see if I remove just this item, then my damage goes from 9,300 to 6,000. So this one item gives me nearly 33% of my total damage. So that's really quite a big percentage. I mean, only one item giving you 33% of your total damage. That's really quite a large amount. Now, so yeah, that's why I don't really pick up any loot ever. I only pick up these little stones sometimes, those crystal essences, because they are used for enchanting. And basically the enchanting in this game just allows you to re-roll the stats on your weapons. So once again, it's pretty similar to Diablo 3, where you can re-roll certain stats on your items. If you don't like the strength, for instance, on an item, then you can re-roll it to either become another stat, or you can re-roll it to be higher. So it can maybe, if the item only gives 100 strength, then you can re-roll it to maybe give 120 strength or whatever. So yeah, certainly this game is borrowing a lot of stuff from other games like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 and perhaps even games like Titan Quest with the talent tree system. But certainly I am not complaining, since Titan Quest in my opinion is the best game ever made, and Diablo 2 is certainly also quite far up there. It's also an amazing game, so I mean there's really no harm in borrowing mechanics from other games, as long as it's done well, and if you still use your own flavor on them, for instance. Because certainly if you play this game, you won't immediately say that it is like Diablo 2 or Diablo 3 or any of those games. Certainly it's nothing like them if you look at the way that you fight and the way that you move around and the way that it looks and all of that. So this game certainly has done way more than what it needs to stand on its own feet. So here is another boss fight, and you will see at the top left, as soon as these stacks get to 10 of those pod stacks, then this thing's HP drops like a motherfucker. It basically takes 170,000 damage per second, which is an incredible amount of damage. And he didn't drop any quest items, so we can simply move on. So basically I've showed you all that I want to show you guys in the game. You just basically move from quest hub to quest hub. So like here we've now reached the next quest hub. You just accept all of the quests, and then they will tell you where to go next. So basically let's see here, where's that done? The leader of the elves is located somewhere in the Archdruid's retreat beyond Rosewood. So you will basically move forward through to the next place, like through to the next Rosewood or whatever. We are currently in Deepwood. You can see there at the top right, Deepwood. So we are currently in Deepwood, so you will move from Deepwood to Rosewood, and then from Rosewood to the Archdruid's retreat. And I think we can actually teleport there if we really want to. Oh, it's the last boss in this act, so we can quickly teleport to him, kill him, and then I will bring this video to a conclusion. Oh, he's actually not... Oh, okay, I remember this one. We actually have to find his portal, and then inside his portal we will fight him. So it's actually not... he's not easily accessible. So let us teleport back to the Chronicon, and then yeah, we can pretty much just call it quits right here. You can see through the past, whatever, 20 minutes or so, I've gained 7 mastery points. So basically those mastery points you then just invest into wherever you want. And as far as I know, the mastery points have no limit. So you can conceivably get up to 1,000 mastery points as long as you play the game long enough. So yeah, that's pretty much the game. So yeah guys, if I really can bring my opinion together, honestly I really enjoy the game. I do think that there are some slight balancing issues. For instance, I think that the Templar is way too much of a boring character. It's really a boring character. But I might be incorrect. I mean, I have tried a bunch of the combinations, of the skill combinations, and none of the skill combinations which I found so far for the Templar really are all that interesting. I would like the Templar to, for instance, if you remember from Diablo 2, the Paladin had one skill where it brought a lightning bolt down to the ground, and then it shot out a whole bunch of hammers, like holy hammers from the ground. If a Templar could have a skill like that, which you could use reliably, not like every 30 seconds, you know, it shouldn't have like a 30 fucking second cooldown or anything like that. You should be able to use it reliably and constantly. Then I really think the Templar would be a much more enjoyable class to play, because currently, as I showed you guys at the beginning, you just move into a bunch of enemies so that they clump up around you, and then you just swing a few times with your sword, and it's not really spectacular or anything like that. You just basically are extremely tanky, and you basically never die with the Templar, but you also don't deal a shitload of damage, to be honest. So I really think the Templar should be reworked a little bit, just so that he is a little bit more extravagant and a little bit more how can I say, a little bit more showy. Like, he should have skills that are a little bit more showy and a little bit more extravagant, just so that you can deal some fucking AoE damage, because currently, as far as I have it correctly with all of the different combinations that I've tried, he basically has 0 AoE, so that's not really all that good. And the Berserker, he's pretty good. I really don't have an issue with him. He seemed extremely squishy in the few minutes that I played him for you guys, but honestly, he's not all that squishy. You just really need to watch your HP. He is the embodiment of a Berserker. He's just full out attack and basically 0 defense. That's basically what the character is, but you can certainly rework your talents in order to give him a little bit more defensiveness in lieu of some offensiveness. So I really don't have an issue with him. He is exactly what his name says. He is a Berserker, so you're going to have a lot of wild fun with him, and you're probably going to die a bunch of times, but he can really deal a shitload of damage. The Warden, in my opinion, is the most fun character to play, simply because you can deal a shitload of damage on your own, but you can also summon a shitload of little critters and stuff around you. Like I said, the wolf animation currently is not all that appealing. It's a little bit of an eyesore, but I certainly think that that is just currently a placeholder animation. I think that it will probably be improved. So I really like the Warden, to be honest, and the Warlock I really like. It's also really a extremely powerful class. Perhaps it's a little bit too powerful, maybe. Certainly if I want the Templar to be made a little bit more powerful, then I agree that the Warlock should be made a little bit less powerful, perhaps, because the Warlock is really quite a powerful character, especially with the way that I currently have him set up. He's really, I think I found a really good working build for the Warlock. So yeah, overall I think that the character balancing of most of the characters is really good, but you don't want your player base to feel weaker. Like, for instance, the Templar player base, anyone who chooses a Templar, they shouldn't feel weaker than a Warlock, because eventually when the online multiplayer is put into the game, then it is inevitable that a Templar is going to come into a party with a Warlock, and the Warlock is just going to absolutely decimate everything around him, and the Templar is going to think to himself, well, why aren't I playing a Warlock then? And you don't want your players to feel that way. So I just think that the balancing of the different characters can use a little bit of tweaking, but overall it's really pretty good. I don't really have any serious problems with it, and otherwise than that, the map is the only thing that I would change. Honestly, the map is a little bit of a problem. I don't like the way that the map is set up at all currently. And yeah, otherwise than that, the music is pretty good. I really don't have a problem with the music. I really look forward to the time when voice acting will be implemented, or at least more voice acting will be implemented into the game, since nobody likes to read a whole lot, and currently you have to read all of the quest text that the NPCs give you, so that's not really all that enjoyable. But yeah, so far I really am enjoying the game. The game is available on Steam for only $8. It's like fucking hell, $8, and I've already spent a shitload of time on the game, like 3 days of time playing the game. And if you go look on the Steam reviews page, you will see that there are people who have hundreds of hours invested into the game, hundreds of hours of playtime. So honestly, for $8, it's an amazing deal. And yeah, like I said, the game releases by the, if I can go by the what the developer has written on his website, spring 2017. So I can only assume that is the American spring. It's not the Swedish spring, because like I said, the developer of the game is only one guy, and he is a Swede. He lives in Sweden. So I am assuming that it is March 2017 or spring 2017 of the American spring. So yeah, guys, I would absolutely recommend that you get the game, that you play the game. It's really worth the fucking $8. It's really, even in the early access build, if you don't want to wait until the game is releasing in a couple of months, you can really already play days worth of game time, or you can already get days worth of game time out of the game, even with the early access build, because like I said, the game has been development in for over a year and a half, and there's really quite a lot of playability in the game already, as you've already seen during this hour and a half or so. So yeah, guys, that's my opinion of the game. I certainly hope that you pick up the game, that you support the developer of the game, and I will see you next time. Thanks a lot for watching.